Hello everyone. Today we're going to start with a new reading lesson. The objectives for this part of the lesson are to identify the pattern of organization in specific paragraphs and to identify the sentence pattern of given sentences. Since one of our objectives is to identify the pattern of organization in specific paragraphs, let's recall what do we mean by patterns of organization. Patterns of organization show us the relationships between the supporting details or the sentences in these paragraphs. The first one that we will talk about is cause and effect. So you already know what do we mean by this because we have already taken the sentence pattern, cause and effect. In this case, it applies to the paragraph. So instead of just thinking of it as a sentence, we think of it in paragraph form. So the pattern of organization of a paragraph is cause and effect if this paragraph has or talks about a single cause and effect or several causes with several effects. So this paragraph is discussing a specific event or action and that was caused by another event or action. You may see or notice specific signal words like because, causes, creates, due to, for this reason, if, as a result, consequently, hence, since, therefore, and so on. The second pattern of organization that we are going to discuss is comparison and contrast. Let's first of all identify the meaning of the word comparison and the meaning of the word contrast. Comparison means what things have in common, how items or concepts are alike, the similarities between elements or ideas. Contrast, on the other hand, means the differences between items or concepts, how things are not alike, distinctions between elements or ideas. What's special about this pattern of organization is that it is 3 in 1. It can either be comparison alone, contrast alone, or comparison and contrast together. If the paragraph talks about only the similarities between specific ideas, then the pattern of organization is comparison. If the paragraph mentions differences between items or concepts, meaning how things are not alike, then the pattern of organization is contrast. If the paragraph mentions or emphasizes the similarities and or differences between two or more items or topics, then the pattern of organization is comparison and contrast. Here you have some signal words, for example, also, as well as, both, compared to, in the same way, although, despite, even though, however, nevertheless, in contrast, etc. Here you also have some examples which identify this pattern of organization. Of course, these are not paragraphs, they are sentences. So if it is comparison, there are similar safety features on all the cars in the showroom. So the signal word here is similar. Contrast, community service activities develop social and emotional skills of students while academic classes develop intellectual skills. While is the signal word. If it is a combination of both, here are some examples. Let's read this one together. Mary, like her sister, has brown hair. However, the two differ when it comes to eye color. The third and final pattern of organization is problem and solution. From its name, this pattern of organization presents a problem and explains it, then a possible solution is suggested. Sometimes only the problem is presented because there is no solution. Some signal words include answer, challenge, need, difficulty, dilemma, improve, indicate, problem, propose, remedied, resolve, respond to, solve, suggest. Of course, there are many other signal words other than these ones that indicate that the pattern of organization is problem and solution. Let's take a look at these examples. Since pollution has a detrimental impact on modern living standards, a key solution is increased recycling of waste products. So here the signal word is solution, telling me that the author here is mentioning a solution. Many children suffer long-term consequences of bullying. However, the problem can be remedied through a three-pronged approach: educating the parents, encouraging a community atmosphere, and implementing a peer mediation program. So, again, the pattern of organization in a paragraph is problem and solution if the paragraph talks about a problem or presents a problem and then suggests a solution or maybe more than one solution. Unit 7, Human Rights and Values. The title of our lesson is A Letter to My Daughter by Lisa Delpit. In this lesson, a mother sends a letter to her daughter, and the mother talks about the pain that she went through confronting or facing racism. My dearest Maya, you are amazing. Your golden brown skin, your deep black Aki eyes, your wiry gold-flecked hair that seems persistently unwilling to stay contained in any manner of braid or twist I devise. I listen in amazement at your interpretations of the world and laugh at your corny 9-year-old's jokes. I can't fathom how you've managed to turn those little baby digits I love to kiss into the long, graceful fingers adorned at the tips in blue and purple designer colors that now dance so expertly across your violin strings. Yes, you are amazing. As much as I think of you as my gift to the world, I am constantly made aware that there are those who see you otherwise. In the opening paragraph, the mother describes her daughter as amazing, beautiful, special, and one of a kind. We can tell how much the mother loves her daughter. In the second paragraph, however, notice the sentence, "There are those who see you otherwise." This sentence altogether serves as a thesis statement, if we want to call it, because it's that sentence that prepares us for what the author is going to discuss and talk about next. I mean, it's obvious that the second paragraph is basically like an introduction to the topic of the letter. So the mother contrasts her view of her daughter as her gift to the world and how many see her differently, which is basically what the author is going to discuss in the following paragraphs. Although you don't realize it yet, it is solely because of your color that the police officers in our predominantly white neighborhood stop you to talk when you walk our dog. You think they're being friendly, but when you tell me that one of their first questions is always, "Do you live around here?" I know that they question your right to be here, that somehow your being here threatens their sense of security. In this paragraph, the mother gives the example of the police officer asking her daughter questions while walking the dog. It's very clear that the daughter is still too innocent to understand what the police officer truly means by such questions, so she believes that he is just being friendly and nice. However, the mom knows and is trying to tell her daughter that it is because of her color that the police officers actually stop her and ask her these questions. And such questions just show one thing, that she is not supposed to be there and that she doesn't belong there. I didn't tell you exactly what was going on when we took that trip to the Georgia mountains. You and your friend played outside the restaurant while his mom and I visited the ladies' room. Later, the two of you told us that a white man and his wife, he with a minister's collar, stared at you with mean looks and made monkey signs and gestures. You asked why they did that, and I told you that some people were just not nice. I made you promise to come to me immediately whenever an adult was giving you any trouble. Paragraph 4 also shows us another example of racism and discrimination against black people. The white man making monkey signs and giving the two kids mean looks. I did not have to be told much when I was your age. When I was growing up in Louisiana in the 1950s and 1960s, the color lines were very clearly drawn. I followed my mother to the back entrance of the doctor's office marked colored. I knew which water fountain I was supposed to drink from. On the bus ride to my all-black school, I watched white children walk to schools just 2 or 3 blocks from my house. In large part, my childhood years were wrapped in the warm cocoon of family and community who all knew each other and looked out for one another. However, I remember clearly my racing heart, my sweaty-palmed fear of the white policeman who entered my father's small restaurant one night and hit him with nightsticks, the helpless terror when there were rumors in our schoolyard that the Ku Klux Klan would be riding, the anxiety of knowing my college-aged foster sister had joined the civil rights marchers in a face-off against the white policemen and their dogs. And I remember, my Maya, the death of your grandfather when I was 7, who died of kidney failure because the colored ward wasn't yet allowed the use of the brand new dialysis machine. So these two paragraphs highlight the mother's own childhood experiences. She says, when I was growing up in Louisiana in the 1950s and 1960s, the color lines were very clearly drawn. This means that segregation was strictly defined, that black people knew their exact place in society. So this means that discrimination and segregation was clearly portrayed in society. Black people knew what they could do and what they were not allowed to do. They knew which water fountain they were supposed to drink from. And nobody had to tell them what to do. They knew exactly what to do. In paragraph 6, the mother also gives us more examples that portray discrimination and segregation back then. She also mentions how when she was a child, her own family and the community, they all knew each other and they looked out for one another, which means that they loved each other and they did care for one another. She gives us a lot of examples which show discrimination, like for example when her father was hit with nightsticks by the police, and how her grandfather also died because he was not allowed the use of the brand new dialysis machine just because he was black. Your world is very different, at least on its surface. In many ways, now is a more confusing time to live. In Seeing a Colored Blind Future, Patricia Williams says we are saturated with insistent emblems of brotherhood, multicolored children singing, "We are the world." Television shows with the obligatory child of color, teachers' adamant statements that we are all the same and color doesn't matter, yet attacks on rectifying past discrimination are made unabashedly under the flag of color blindness. White hate crimes are on the upswing. Many communities and schools are more segregated than they were 20 years ago. I receive at least a call a week from frantic African American parents living all over the country who are terrified at the hostility shown regularly by the schools to their brown children. In this paragraph, the mother talks about her daughter's world. She tells her, "Your world is very different, at least on its surface." So what the author is trying to say in this paragraph is that both worlds are the same, except that one was clear, everybody knew that they were different, nobody dared to cross the limits, and now her daughter's world is different only on the surface. So yes, everybody is singing "We Are the World" in schools. They're trying to teach kids that they're all the same and that color doesn't matter, but still there is discrimination and black people are still discriminated against. So I'm not sure which one is better. Homework. Answer the following questions. Number 1, What pattern of organization does the author use in paragraphs 5, 6, 7? Identify the sentence pattern of each of the following. A. When I was growing up in Louisiana in the 1950s and 60s, the color lines were very clearly drawn in paragraph 5. And B. However, I remember clearly my racing heart, my sweaty palmed fear of the white policeman who entered my father's small restaurant one night and hit him with nightsticks in paragraph 6.